So this is your final review video over all of semester 1. So what is the y-intercept of the line that is perpendicular to this equation and passes through the point 1, 4? So we're looking for y-intercept. We're talking about perpendicular. So parallel lines always have the same slope. Perpendicular have opposite reciprocals. So right now my slope is -3. So my slope is now going to be, the opposite is positive, the reciprocal of 3 is 1 over 3, so now my slope is 1 over 3. It needs to pass through this point, so let's go ahead and put it in point slope and solve it so we can find my y-intercept, because we need it in y equals mx plus b to do that. So we're going to add 4 over here. I'm going to get y equals 1/3 x plus 3.67. You could also keep it in fraction form. So the y-intercept, this is my slope, this is my y-intercept. So that is the answer that I'm looking for, or the fraction form of it. What is the distance between A, which is 1, 9, and B, which is 4, -2, and what is the midpoint? So the distance, we need to do the distance formula. So I put the distance formula at the top, so let's go ahead and do x1, y1, x2, y2. So d equals the square root. x2 is 4 minus my x1, which is 1, squared, plus y2 minus my y1, all squared. So now we got to simplify. 4 minus 1 is 3. -2 minus 9 is -11. 3 squared is 9. 11 squared is 121. So the square root of 130 is the distance between that point and that point. The midpoint, you have to add them together and divide by 2 because you got to cut it in half. So I'm going to take my x's. So here is this point. Here is this point. So I'm going to take my x values, so 1 plus 4. And then I'm going to take my y values, so 9 plus -2. And divide both of them by 2. So 1 plus 4 is 5. 9 plus -2 is 7. So that is the point that sits in the middle of those 2 points. So that's my xy point. If an angle measures 90 degrees and is a right angle, identify the hypothesis and conclusion of the above conditional. Hypothesis is always what follows the if. So that's my hypothesis. Conclusion is what always follows the then. Write the converse of the above conditional. So converse is when you flip them. So if it is a right angle, then the angle measures 90 degrees. Oops. Provide a counterexample. So a counterexample is when you try to prove something wrong. So if a food is a vegetable, then it is green. So you need to think of any other vegetable that you can think of that is not green to prove that wrong. Because right now it's saying that any food that is a vegetable is going to be green. So you could say a potato, if you really wanted to, because that's not green. Can the following be written as a biconditional? If so, write it. If not, explain why. A fish is an animal that swims. So a biconditional is when it can be written both ways and still be true. So right now, we need to write it as a conditional. So if it is a fish, if the animal is a fish, let's try this. If the animal is a fish, then it swims. So now we need to write the converse and see if both ways are true for it to be a biconditional. So the converse then would be, if it swims, then it is an animal that is a fish. Okay, so are both ways of these true? Well, no, because technically another animal that would swim could be a crab. So you could say a crab, or that's not even crab, a crab. Okay, so that would be a counterexample. If it was true, then you would just say, if the animal is a fish, if and only if it swims. So that's when you would write the if and only if to say that it's a biconditional. But right now you can prove it wrong, so you can't say that it's true. Find the value of x. Right now we have vertical angles, so vertical angles should always be equal. So I can set them equal to each other to solve it. So let's subtract 3x and add 15 at the same time. So I'm going to get 2x equals 32. Divide by 2, x equals 16. So I found x, found the value of A, E, C. So I want this angle, so we're going to plug x back in. So 5 times 16 minus 15. So that equals 65, so that's 65 degrees. Now we got to do AEB, which is this outside angle. So this whole big angle creates a 180 degree line. So if I take 180 minus 65, I will get AEB. So you need to read what it's asking for. Because it's not asking for this other angle here, which you might think it's going to. It's asking for what this angle here is. So 180 minus 65, this angle is 115 degrees. T is the midpoint of SU. Find the value of x. If it sits in the middle, that means these two sides should be the same. If they're the same, we can set them equal to each other because they should be the same. So now we got to solve. So now I have x representing 3, so we found 3. Now I need to find ST, so let's plug 3 back in to find ST. So I got 15 minus 2, so ST is 13. So 3 times 3 plus 4, so 9 plus 4, so this is also 13, and they should be the same, because we just established if that's the midpoint, it sits in the middle, which means those two sides are the same. And now I want SU, the entire length. So all I do is add these two together since they're both 13. So SU is 26. So PQ is 3x minus 5. QR is 7x plus 3. And PR is 88. If both of those added together should equal 88, that's what I'm going to do. Because this entire length should equal 88. So we're going to add them together and set it equal to my big length. And we're going to solve. So I got x to equal 9. So I found that. Now I need to find PQ. So we got to plug it back in. So 3 times 9 minus 5. 3 times 9 is 27. 27 minus 5. So this is 22. And then QR, we have 7 times 9 plus 3. 7 times 9 is 63. Plus 3 is 66. Which if you look at it, if you add those together, it should equal 88. Describe the angle pair relation using the following choices. Supplementary, so they add up to be 180 degrees. Complementary, they add up to be 90 degrees. Congruent means they should equal or be the same. So if I look at angle 1 and angle 3, those are vertical angles. Vertical angles should always be congruent. Right now I can't tell if they could add to be 180. I just know that they're the same. So that one I'm going to put a C. Angle 4 and angle 5 are same side interior angles, and those should always add up to be 180 degrees. So it is supplementary. Angle 3 and angle 5 are alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles should always be the same, which means that they are congruent. And then we have 7 and 8. They create a straight line, so they should add up to be 180 degrees. so supplementary. Okay, write an equation of a line that is parallel to the line that goes through negative 3, 5, so we're using this line here. Write your answer in slope-intercept form. Parallel means the slopes are the same, so we're using this slope and this point. So I'm going to do my y minus 5 equals the slope I just found, x minus negative 3. Two negatives change to a positive. We got to distribute because it needs to be in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. So y minus 5 equals 2x plus 6. Add 5. Y equals 2x plus 11. That is my final answer. So now I need to do perpendicular, so opposite reciprocal. So right now my slope is 2. So the opposite of positive is negative. The reciprocal of 2 is 1 over 2. So this is the slope I'm using. I'm going to do y minus my y1 equals my new slope, x minus 8. We need to distribute to get it into y equals mx plus b. So now I'm going to get y minus 1 equals negative 1 half x. Negative 1 half times negative 8 is positive 4. We add that 1. So y equals negative 1 half x plus 5. Decide which shortcut you'd use to prove the triangle's congruent. If there's not enough information, write not enough information or NEI. I'm going to write the 4 shortcuts that are possible for you in 1 second. Okay, so if I look at this first one, I know I have some vertical angles, so if I labeled, I'd have a side, an angle, and a side, so side, angle, side. This next one, they have the reflexive property. I'm not saying that's an angle bisector for JM, so I can't say angle, side, angle for this situation. And I'm also not saying that K is that M is a midpoint, so I can't say that these two lengths are the same based on that. So this one's going to be not enough information because I can't prove that those are congruent or that these are congruent based on the 90-degree angle. All we have is those two. So this next one, I know that I have vertical angles. So if I label it, I have angle, side, angle, angle, side. So angle, angle, side is going to be my answer for that one. So I would write these down. Okay, name the 4 pairs of congruent angles. Okay, so they all match up respectively. So angle J is congruent to angle R. Angle K is congruent to angle S. Angle L is congruent to angle T. Angle M is congruent to angle U. Explain complementary angles. They add up to be 90 degrees and they don't have to be sitting next to each other as long as they add up to be 90 degrees. Supplementary, they add up to be 180 degrees. They also do not have to be sitting next to each other. Vertical angles are congruent and they sit across from each other.